Dive! Dive!
Welcome to Patrol Reports, stories from the history of the United States Submarine Force. Brought to you by the United States Submarine Veterans Bremerton Base. You can find them at gertrudecheck.org. Today, we're digging into a story about a single moment. A moment of pride that nearly cost a brand new submarine and her entire crew everything. It's an incredible story, so let's jump right in. Alright, so picture this. It's June 1943. The submarine USS Jack is brand spanking new, and she's on her very first war patrol, prowling the waters right off the coast of Honshu, Japan. Now, this crew, all 54 of them, they're plank owners. That means they've been with the boat since day one, since she was commissioned, and you better believe they're eager. They've got that swagger, you know? They are absolutely chomping at the bit for their first real taste of combat. And they don't have to wait long. In the pitch black of pre-dawn on June 26th at 03:45, bam, a lookout spots them. A 5-ship convoy, just these ghostly shapes against the horizon. This is it. This is their chance. The Jack, she just slips into position, silent, and begins her approach, ready to let him have it. And wow, the attack was it was incredibly fast and precise. At 05:18, they fire a spread of 3 torpedoes. 2 of them find their mark. Just 2 minutes later, at 05:20, they do it again. Another spread, 2 more hits. By 05:25, they've even managed to hit a 3rd ship. I mean, this was a textbook ambush. The sea just erupts in flame and twisted steel, an absolute masterpiece. So get this. In less than 10 minutes, the Jack confirms 2 ships are going down. The passenger cargo ship Toyomaru and the cargo ship Shozenmaru. For a crew on their very first patrol, this is an unbelievable success. They must have felt totally untouchable, you know, like they were the kings of the ocean. Yeah, and the commander's own words from the patrol report, they capture that feeling perfectly. He wrote, "It looked like such a breeze." They probably thought, hey, this war stuff is easy. But you know, it was right there in that exact moment of victory that one single decision was made that would change everything and nearly cost them their lives. So yeah, caught up in the flush of that incredible victory, the commander makes a decision, and it's a very human one, but it's a moment a submarine at war just cannot afford to have. See, he wanted to share this win with his guys. In his report, he wrote, "I then left the periscope up to let some of the officers and men look at the sinking ship. Can you blame him? It was a moment to savor their triumph, right? To let the crew see with their own eyes the result of all their hard work and their courage." But, and this is a big but, the commander finishes that exact same sentence with a really chilling admission. He says, and this almost cost us our lives. Because while they were all taking turns looking at their handiwork, watching that ship go down, nobody was watching for what was coming for them. And just like that, the tables turned. The hunter was about to become the hunted, completely blindsided by a threat they had no idea was even out there. So what happened? Well, it turns out the convoy had a plane escort. A Japanese aircraft that the Jack's crew had never seen and never heard. And while those guys were busy taking turns at the periscope, that plane was lining them up in its sights, getting ready to drop a little surprise. So at 0:50:47, the commander is actually about to fire on another target, and that's when all hell breaks loose. A single depth charge, dropped from the plane, lands terrifyingly close to their port quarter. We're talking so close it probably landed right next to a lifeboat, filled with survivors from one of the ships they had just sunk. Just imagine that. The explosion was absolutely catastrophic. It literally blew the Jack's stern clean out of the water. Inside the boat, it was total chaos. Guys were thrown against steel bulkheads, lights are flickering, gauges are shattering, and the worst part? Both the bow and stern planes, you know, the wings that control the sub's depth, they were jammed solid. The boat was completely out of control. So, with no way to steer up or down, the Jack just noses over, hard. It pitches into this terrifying steep 25-degree down angle. They're in an uncontrolled dive, and they are rocketing straight for crush depth. The crew is scrambling, right? They're blowing tanks. They're doing everything they can to fight for control. And somehow, by some miracle, they managed to stop the boat's horrifying descent at 380 feet. Now that is dangerously, perilously deep. But the fight for their lives was really just getting started. So right in the middle of all this pandemonium, with the boat groaning and creaking under the immense pressure, one man's clear-headed thinking made all the difference. The difference between survival and a watery grave. And that man was Chief Torpedoman Sylvest Kohut. While everyone else was desperately trying to level the sub, Chief Kohut diagnosed the real problem. He figured out the bow planes were fouled up. So he scrambles into the forward torpedo room, and sure enough, he finds a chain guard that was knocked loose by the blast and was jamming the controls. So what does he do? He physically wrestles this thing free, with his bare hands. And that one heroic act, it was stored control of the bow planes. That was it. That was the key. It was the one action that allowed the dive officer to finally regain depth control, level the boat, and, well, save the USS Jack and every single one of the 54 guys on board from being crushed by the sea. Absolutely incredible. So the Jack survived, but she was hurt, badly. And as they limped away from the fight, the crew had to face this really harsh reality, this brutal lesson they had just learned about the price of getting a little too cocky. And you can just feel the commander's regret in his patrol report. He wrote, "If I hadn't been so anxious to gloat, I could have gotten the auxiliary and saved this vessel the damage." He even admits the damage might force them to end the patrol early. I mean, what a candid admission of a mistake that nearly cost him absolutely everything. And let me tell you, the damage was severe. That one little depth charge had knocked out their SJ radar, it made one of their periscopes pretty much useless, and it caused a whole bunch of other problems. Sure, they were alive, but they were wounded. Their ability to fight for the rest of the patrol was seriously, seriously compromised. You can bet that lesson was burned into the mind of every single man on that boat. It wasn't the big ships in the convoy or their escorts that were the biggest threat. Nope, it was the one danger they never even saw. And that's a fundamental truth in submarine warfare, isn't it? It's always the thing you don't see coming that's going to get you. So, what is the price of a single moment of pride in the heat of battle? It's a heavy question. Thanks again for joining us today on Patrol Reports and the story of the USS Jack, SS-259, and Chief Torpedoman Sylvest Kohut. This has been brought to you by the United States Submarine Veterans Bremerton Base. You can find them at gertrudecheck.org.